Are the Boston Celtics done dealing, or is this just the calm before another move that could reshape the roster as the NBA trade deadline approaches on February 5th? The sense of urgency around the league is impossible to ignore. Front offices are making calls, rumors are accelerating, and in Boston, every decision by Brad Stevens is being dissected in real time. What looked like a quiet stretch suddenly turned into action, and now the biggest question is whether that action is finished or only the beginning. Before we go any further, make sure you leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the hype button right now. That support keeps this coverage going and helps us stay on top of every major Boston Celtics development as it happens. The most recent trade addressed a problem that could no longer be ignored. The Celtics needed more depth at the center position, especially with the physical demands of the second half of the season approaching. That issue was finally solved, even if it came at a cost. Guard depth took a hit, and that immediately opened a new debate inside the fan base and around the league. Was this a calculated sacrifice, or a temporary imbalance that still needs to be fixed on paper? The return of Jason Tatum changes the equation, with Tatum close to full speed. The Celtics regain a primary scoring option and a reliable presence who can initiate offense when needed. While Anthony Simons was not a true floor general, he could at least bring the ball up and relieve pressure in certain moments. Tatum's versatility helps cover that loss, but it does not completely eliminate the concern. Depth matters, especially in playoff-style rotations where one injury or one bad matchup can force adjustments. This is where the speculation intensifies. Does Boston trust its internal options? Or does Brad Stevens believe another move is necessary? The buyout market is approaching, and names with experience could become available. There is also the G League, where undervalued guards are always looking for an opportunity. And then there is the trade market itself, still active, still fluid, with teams like Chicago sitting on an overload of guards and unfinished business from recent negotiations. The fact that the last deal is not even officially completed keeps the door open. In this league, silence rarely means inactivity. What makes this moment so tense is timing. After a relatively quiet month, activity is clearly picking up across the NBA. Decisions made in the next few days will define rotations, roles, and expectations heading into the postseason. Boston has already shown a willingness to act. That alone suggests the front office is not simply watching from the sidelines. So here is the question that matters, the one that will define the narrative until the deadline hits. Are the Celtics truly done dealing, confident that this roster is ready as constructed, or is Brad Stevens preparing one more move that nobody sees coming? A move that could answer the guard depth issue and change everything at the last possible moment? The NBA trade deadline is closing in. February 5th is right around the corner, and the wing market is tightening by the hour. Teams that waited too long are now scrambling. And that pressure is pushing certain names to the center of league-wide conversations. One of those names is Najee Marshall, and the Boston Celtics are very much part of that discussion. Marshall has suddenly become one of the most contested wings available. The Los Angeles Lakers are running out of options after missing on other targets, and reports indicate they have shifted their focus to Dallas. At the same time, the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, and the Boston Celtics have all made inquiries. That alone tells you how scarce reliable two-way wings have become. When multiple playoff-level teams are calling at once, the leverage shifts quickly to the seller. Dallas knows exactly what it has. Marshall is not being shopped aggressively, and that is key. The Mavericks are signaling that they value him as a real rotation piece, not filler. According to league reports, Dallas is asking for a first-round pick. That is a significant price for a wing earning $27 million over the life of his contract, especially one shooting just over 30% from three-point range. But numbers never tell the full story, and front offices know that. Marshall brings physical defense, slashing ability, and energy on the wing. He can guard multiple positions, attack closeouts, and create offense when sets break down. Those traits are exactly what contenders look for when rotations tighten in the postseason. For Boston, the appeal is obvious. The Celtics value versatility, switchability, and toughness. Marshall checks those boxes even if his perimeter shooting remains inconsistent. Here is where the urgency builds. The wing market is thinning fast. Dallas is not eager to move Marshall unless the return clearly justifies it. Other teams are circling. Time is shrinking. And Boston has already shown it is willing to explore upgrades when the fit makes sense. This is not about desperation, it is about timing and opportunity. So the real question now becomes unavoidable. With the Celtics quietly involved, Dallas holding firm, and multiple contenders pushing from behind, does Boston decide that Najee Marshall is worth the price before February 5th arrives? Or do they risk watching another rival secure the very wing depth they may need when the games matter most? Silence around the Boston Celtics right now does not mean inactivity, with the NBA trade deadline set for Thursday, February 5th. Every hour without a move only increases the tension inside the front office, around the league. Executives believe Boston is weighing a decision that could quietly redefine the balance of its rotation. At the center of that conversation is a potential swap that has begun to circulate with real credibility: Sam Hauser for Jeremy Sochan. Sam Hauser's name has become impossible to ignore as deadline chatter intensifies, alongside Anthony Simons. He is one of the Celtics' most frequently mentioned pieces in potential deals, according to an idea proposed by The Athletic. Boston and San Antonio could explore a straightforward exchange built around fit rather than star power. Hauser would head to the Spurs, while the Celtics would take a chance on former 9th overall pick Jeremy Sochan. This is not a flashy move, but it is a meaningful one. Hauser provides spacing, floor balance, and shooting reliability. He knows the system, understands his role, and fits seamlessly into Joe Mazzulla's offensive structure. At the same time, Boston has to acknowledge reality. Shooting is valuable, but playoff basketball often exposes defensive limitations and physical mismatches. That is where Sochan enters the discussion. Sochan was selected 9th overall in the 2022 NBA draft and quickly showed promise, earning second-team All-Rookie honors. His best season came in 2023 to 2024, when he set career highs in points, assists, and minutes. This season has been different. His role has been inconsistent. His minutes have dropped, and injuries have interrupted his rhythm. From San Antonio's perspective, that creates flexibility. From Boston's perspective, it creates opportunity. The Celtics began this season fully aware of their financial constraints. Even so, they remain firmly in the race for a top 2 seed. Despite parting ways with Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford, while Jason Tatum continues to recover from Achilles surgery. Internally, Simons was viewed as a temporary solution. Around the league, Hauser is increasingly viewed as expendable if the return brings defensive activity and versatility. Sochan would arrive on an expiring contract, capable of guarding multiple positions, pushing tempo, and adding physical edge. He would not replace Hauser's shooting, but he could address matchups that Boston struggles with in high-intensity games. The risk is obvious. This roster is connected, continuity matters, and moving a trusted role player is never a neutral decision. That is why this moment feels critical. With time running out and speculation growing louder, does Boston actually commit to a Sam Hauser for Jeremy Sochan swap? Betting that defense and versatility will matter more than shooting and chemistry when the pressure rises. If you want to stay ahead of every move, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button right now.